Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to another roundtable for Shroud of the Avatar. I think we have a great crew here with us today. All I see as we're starting up is all this clowning around. I see Fear standing on his head. I'm like watching Frank levitating over there, and I saw the great helmet that you have in the background there. You're gonna have to put that on and wear that during the show for us. What do you think?
Yeah. I still have some dignity left.
Prepare for battle.
You know, I was just thinking that that we are hardcore RPG players, and you could prove it for us tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already told him. I told him you're way more geeky than I am, bro. I don't have any of that stuff.
I'll go get it and wave it around, but
Okay.
yeah. Meanwhile, talk about something.
Oh, he's getting it.
So,
Imagine Fear has a bunch of dead bodies in his closet.
oh yes, yes.
I have weapons and lightsabers, but Marky gets like excited if I bust
The
out.
heads of his foes.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, there he is, putting his headset back on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Check that puppy out.
That's badass.
You got to keep talking though. See, everybody else talks and says "wow." Oh, and now he can't hear us. Oh, now he's putting it on. Oh, here, I'm going to focus on him. I'm going to keep the
There
focus
you go.
on.
Oh my god. I think that's a little big.
What's the matter there, Frank?
Yeah. No headphones can't.
Smaller heads.
I could only hear the laughing.
Probably mine, no doubt. So, okay. Well, no, that was great. That was great. What a great intro. Proving that we're hardcore here. So, some of you may recognize that actually has appeared in many of my videos. Frank ended up with that after I was selling off a bunch of stuff, and so pretty cool. Anyway. What's on our mind tonight? Have we heard anything, or do they all have their nose to the grindstone in Shroud of the Avatar development land?
I think Frank had some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they claim to be working hard. I'm sure they are. They
Claim.
had a dev chat. Yeah. They had a dev chat on Thursday where they talked a little bit about user interface, and that spawned a lot of discussion on the official boards. So we might talk about what people like.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the second subject he brought out, Richard and Tracy want to know real life rituals that people use to bring the community together, like weddings and birthday parties and citywide picnics and whatnot.
Death in the family.
Yeah, funeral rites,
Mm-hmm,
things that bring
wakes.
the community together,
Mm-hmm.
because they feel like it fleshes out the backstory and the culture that we'll be dumped into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Well, let's talk about bringing people together. I mean, we can make fun of that and everything, you know, the wake, the death in the family, or whatnot. But you know, two thoughts came to my mind with that. The first one is that that when people come together, either through when they come together and really form a relationship with each other that wasn't there previously, it's from something that that builds that relationship, and so that may be a tragic event. But you know, some people that you meet in a tragic event, really it binds you together, and you know, and makes you part of the greater community and everything. And I don't know how that would necessarily apply in the game, but you know, in game fashion, I mean, we've got these town sieges, and people are that is adversity. That is, you know, probably not tragic. We're probably not going to all cry over it, but you know, it's just a thought. Just a thought.
Yeah, I don't know if his intent was to give us things to do, like donating to building a town wall, or to protect against the sieges, or if he just wanted something that was cultural, that they could write a story around and maybe work into a quest. I'm not really sure.
I think I know exactly what he's talking about, which is it's about building community. It's about it's about cementing the community that we have. They talk about in many of the Facebook games and stuff like that. They talk about stickiness. How long does the person play, and how far do they get away before they come back again, and what binds them there? Well, in most games, it's very social, and this is going to be a very social game. It's not necessarily going to be a Facebook game. It's different than that, but it's going to use many of those social elements to bind us all together. And what's really brilliant is that it's even going to bring in people who we know in our peripheral, like work associates and everything. Like we're connected through LinkedIn, and which may really some people actually probably opt out of that portion, because I don't want my boss to know that I dress up in cosplay as a little girl on the weekends. Not that happens here, but the
it's not just on weekends.
It's not just on weekends.
Truth be told.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is someone's alarm going off. Yes.
Not mine.
I'm hearing that.
Oh, hold on, I gotta fix
The
it.
food's done. Fries are done. Anyway, it was fear.
Get his fries.
Yeah. So anyway, it I just envision it right in my head exactly why he's asking for this, because it is part of the overall plan for the game. Because we're not really going to be aware of it when we're playing it, but it is, I think, part of the master plan that he has.
Right.
So
I think he mentioned like putting those kind of tools in there. Like he specifically mentioned like, well, we're going to make sure there's wedding dresses so that if somebody's going to get married, you have that available, and so there's a community event, you have a wedding happening, and we put it together. So that should be interesting to see how many different variations of tools and items that he gives us to work with, to create community events.
And I can tell you, I want to partake in those. My wife and I already talked about it, that we would, we'll both be playing, that it would be great to have a wedding in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Not right off the bat or anything, but as we get to know the whole community and stuff, and then and invite all of our friends in game for for
Kind of
something,
renewing of the vows.
yeah, something that's of course, yes, this is a fantasy world and everything, and it's make believe, but for us too, it's also reality, in the fact of that we're married in real life. So. And I think that would be great. I've had plenty of proposals in video games, but damn it, I could never tell if they were really a guy or not. So, yeah, I heard a really interesting stat in EVE Online the other day, which is that there's only 3% of the players are women, but 27% of the characters are female. If that goes to show you anything about.
Well, I played World of Warcraft for 1 year, and I played a female character, and people were so nice. They would give you stuff. They would resurrect you. They would help you through instances. But if you were a male character in the same situation, they'd ignore you. So,
Well played. Well played.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a good way to start any new game.
It's the same
what's going on.
experience.
Yeah. I have this whole reality thing where I have a really hard time getting past that barrier of having boobs. It just doesn't do it for me.
Well, I was thinking that if I have to look at the backside of a character for all these hours of
Right.
gameplay,
It's not you're not playing you're playing that they're playing. You know,
You're
just
enjoying
driving.
the view while you're playing the game.
you're just
right.
driving it.
Yeah. So what other kinds of community events are there?
Definitely memorials are hot. You know, weddings have always been hot in Ultima games. You know, anything. I'm trying to think, like even war. I mean,
War?
you can. That's another
Sure.
community builder because you call all your friends in. You say, "Hey, come on, we're gonna go kill whatever, whoever,
Yeah.
or whatever."
And then later on, you go and party.
Yeah, I've been doing that all morning. As a matter of fact, I had to turn that off so I could come in here. So yeah, and then the accessibility to those tools, whether you can, you know, because not every single person is going to be in game reading whatever they supply us with a chat room or email inside the game, which I think are great things. But accessibility to Facebook, LinkedIn, like you said, Reddit, whatever it is, all those places, anywhere that we can communicate with our outside friends as well as the inside the game friends, and then obviously that's going to help a lot.
I know another good example he mentioned very early on is he wanted to see the theaters.
Yeah.
So that'll be another avenue for community events.
You know, come to think of it, there's been another community thing that's happened with me in War Z, which is that we had to get people to band together just to survive. And and I've gotten to know many people through that method. I mean, that, you know, they were killing me or I was killing them. But you know, just gotten to know many people that way because we've had to group together in order to survive in the game.
well, even for fun, you could do it like a naked run from one town to another, or a scavenger hunt, or something. Where
Yeah, a lot of races are pretty big.
Is there going to be? Have we heard anything about whether or not there'll be voice in the game?
I don't know that we've heard for sure, but they've been kicking it around. That's more real than typing.
I would love to.
Easier.
You know, actually, I am so thrilled with like Google's, you know, speech to text and everything. You know, what if, you know, they've talked about the bubbles popping up above people's heads so that you know that they're talking. What if the damn stuff typed right out above your head as you were talking?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If I
That'd be
could
awesome, yeah.
if I could select you and say good morning, and you were to hear that, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, especially if it, you know, that's a really interesting thing, being able to select a person to talk to, or just to say good morning to a group.
Yeah.
Like all your friends or your circle or whatever.
Well, they should be within distance, or they should be near a communication orb or something like that. We had those in Ultima Online. There were some rare items that I forget where they came from, but you could say something in one location and they would see it in the next location. And but even you know, some sort of orbs of communication or something like that. But I don't want to always be hearing, you know, I don't want to have a billion people on my friends list and everybody wanting to talk to me. That's going to be
true.
damn annoying.
Or if you walk through the middle of town and everybody's going talking.
Well, you know, maybe that should be though. You know, it's just that as you increase distance, that you well, it goes lower volume and the clarity of it decreases. And so it becomes a mumble whenever you're walking through a crowd or whatever.
Like words are missing?
Well, yeah, more like the further away you get, the less you hear them. So you can hear the mumble in the background when you get right next to them.
It's like somebody talking on the telephone in the next room. You can tell somebody's talking on the telephone, but you can't necessarily hear all the words that they're saying. You pick up just faintly on a few things, but really, it's not really how you could have a conversation though with them.
Charlie Brown voice.
Wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah.
Kind of. Yeah. So, I find, yeah.
So you want Dolby Axon in game?
No, I hate that.
You hate that thing?
Well, actually, I hate it for a chat method. I would. It would be great in the game because it's positional.
Yeah.
And and it knows which way you're facing. Yeah. And so if my character had his back to you, you would hear me talking, but it wouldn't be direct. You would know it. Or if I was on the side of you and talking, you would hear it primarily just through one ear. Which is good. I mean, I could actually see that in especially in some sort of group combat or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So it's not where they're talking from.
Yeah.
Because you can't always look and see when you're in battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just you use your ears all the time.
Yeah, if someone says help, heal, you know it came from your right, and then you can look and see, oh, that's fear over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won't say that. I'll just go down with the ship, man. I won't beg the healer to heal me.
Yeah.
The only downside though is if Mark, I'm pretty sure you know this on TeamSpeak and stuff when they have about 30 people on there, it gets pretty awful, and they're like, I'm just gonna move channels. I can't even talk because everyone else is.
Yeah.
But in TeamSpeak they're all equal unless there's some very special settings to make things unequal. Yep. But they are all equal and so but if it's based upon our close proximity or also, we do need to have some sort of communication with groups. If we have a guild leader that's leading an event or something like that, someone who's a campaign leader, they need to have like speaker priority. That when they're giving commands, everybody needs to be able to hear it.
Right, but a lot of that is also discipline. When you're not the leader, you need to keep your mouth shut and listen to the leader.
True.
Yep.
But we're talking about having kids on there. Let's say,
they'll die first.
They'll die first. I'm just thinking of all the F-bombs and the all the other crap that like when you get onto Xbox Live and try and talk to somebody in a first-person shooter. I mean, good luck. So.
When I think of the kind of the mess and chaos of people speaking over each other in games, I usually think of games where the radius is really huge. If you think of a party, you can only really hear the people within a 2 or 3 foot radius around you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably something that they should consider, is having much smaller radiuses.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how that'd work in combat, but in town maybe if you're just generally walking around. But I think in combat it's important that you would hire everybody in your group, no matter who they are.
Yeah, it'd be some kind of private chat, I think.
That'd be make a new role of gathering information, hiding over by Fear's castle, listening to their plans.
Yes. Oh yeah, wouldn't that be awesome that there'd be people talking inside there, and you'd be standing out there at the fence trying to hear.
If you can get that close to it,
ooh, I heard the word dragon.
If you can actually get that close to it, then
I think they're talking about me.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that knife coming at me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Arrow.
What if when combat's active, your voice is amplified and your radius increases? So unactive, it's smaller, and active, it's larger.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I'd have to try it, but I would think.
Actually, okay. So let me just bring up this point. How is it done in real life? So in real life, if you want to get a hold of the person who's in the next room or they're at a greater distance, you yell at them. You shout. And so a commander on the battlefield would be shouting commands, and then there would be other people that would repeat it if it was really big.
Oh,
and I mean that's kind of confusing, but I'm just talking about how is it done in real life, and so how can that be applied to in the game? So a conversation between two people, you can have multiple people in the same room all having a conversation, but two people together are able to hear each other just nicely, and they can hear the other people talking, and you could stop talking and then listen to other people's conversations, but you're still able to communicate yourself. And so maybe part of your radius is based on how quiet you are too. Because that's something that we use in normal life. And then if you think about military, they all may have headsets on, and be talking via radio or police or something like that. And I know this is kind of a medieval fantasy game, but maybe those concepts apply, that a group that wants to be in full voice contact with each other can be by having the communications rock in their pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, as you were talking about that, I was thinking Braveheart, because that's kind of what they were. They'd yell out the commands, and then all the little commanders would repeat them all. So,
Right.
And they would have flags that would indicate certain things. What position is the flag at, and all these other things. So they have visual cues as well when it's big armies. So.
Okay. I'll buy that for $1.
Okay. Pay up.
It's in my wallet's in my other pants. So.
Oh, damn. So.
But that also sounds like pretty high tech. And does everybody's computer these days support that kind of bandwidth?
Well, so Vivox supports a lot of this stuff. And then Dolby Axon, AXON. It also supports like positional stuff and all around. The technology is there. It's really not that hard to do this. We have a lot of chat stuff in a lot of other games. And there could be, it could be just the whole thing of the pop-ups over the head too. It is possible.
Just be optional. It doesn't have to be permanent. Like everybody has to do this or that. They can still chat if they want.
It would have to be an option, I would think.
Well, and for let's say the people can't support it for whatever reason. If we did have text or speech to text, then that person who had that turned off would see the pop-ups.
Yeah.
And they would just have to deal with that. So. Achoo! This big long word pops up across their head. Oh.
That reminds me, I hope they're going to put the oohs in for the dead guys.
Oh, yeah.
That was a classic thing.
So are they doing the ghosts now?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I'm just saying I hope so.
I haven't heard no clear-cut on what death's going to be yet.
Yeah, but that would be great, because dead people can
fun.
talk to each other, but dead people can't talk to live people.
Unless
well, they can,
speak.
but it's just gibberish.
Yeah.
So
I get dead a lot, so I had a lot of spirit, and I talk to dead people a lot, so I had a lot of spirit.
After you killed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they kill me too, but.
So,
So how did that work? If I didn't play Ultima, so if you died, could you did you walk around and haunt another player to see if he would resurrect you, or how did that?
You either had to go to a healer. I was a Dreadlord, so we only had one place we could heal, or we had to be resurrected by another red player. It was very difficult for us to get resurrected till later. They finally let up on us. But there was wandering healers. There was a few red ones, but they'd mostly get killed. And then there was a shrine, the Shrine of Chaos. And that was the only two places we could really do our business. Normal players could have had all kinds of places they could resurrect.
yeah. So it was pretty easy as a normal player. Or you could insta-res, but with penalties.
Yes, that we don't like those.
Yeah, and that was for the impatient folks.
Yeah, no, we don't need. Dreadlords didn't do that.
Well, and they do that only. You do that a couple of times, and you're like, "Oh crap! What have I just missed a week's worth of play?"
You're wrecked.
Yeah,
So
awful.
So, do we have any more thoughts on the bringing people together?
Well, okay, so one of the guys in the official board suggested that if you could get a certain number of players together to do some ritual, there would be some like magic spell on the group, so there would be some bonus for wanting to do that. I don't know. That seems all right to me, but I play mostly solo, so I don't really. But now,
what about like when traveling? Because I'm like thinking about riding a city bus. Well, in you might end up talking to somebody sitting next to you. What about riding on the ships to an island or whatever? You get to meet these other people who are on the ship. The ship maybe takes 10, 15 minutes to get there, and you strike up conversations with people.
I think that'll happen. Go ahead, Fear.
And I think that that just like made me think of something else. If he's talking about a ritual, like, okay, so in World of Warcraft they had that deal where, so I was a necromancer or whatever, warlock, and I had to get a bunch of friends to come with me to help me get this horse mount, and you don't have to do that anymore, but you had to go through all these steps and you had to have people help you, and it just made it take incredibly long time. But I guess in the end, it took me over a month. I mean, I had to keep begging people, hey, come with me, and then everybody's busy, they want to do their own thing. And so you get to that point where you want it has to benefit everyone. If you want them to come and join you, it has to benefit them in some way, because otherwise you're just annoying people.
You're putting a restriction on one play style.
What are they getting out of it? It's like, I want you to come help me. I'll buy the beer and the pizza, but you can't really do that in video game. But,
right. Yeah.
I'm
help me
not
move.
a fan. anything that develops your character, you shouldn't have to rely on other players for.
Right.
Maybe you could get it done quicker with other players, but you should be able to go get that horse yourself.
Right. Yeah. Now
So,
you can, but
definitely.
back in the day you couldn't do that. Actually, it's just a drop. It's just a thing you just pick up from the spell lady or whatever. Now it's just. But yeah, back in the day it was incredibly hard, and I'm a solo player as well, believe it or not, and most times, and it was incredibly hard. So if that's the kind of rituals he's talking about, or if he's talking about a ritual where you all get together, you're going to go dungeon diving, but you got to do this ritual first before you go, that's going to buff the whole party, okay, well, that's easier to manage.
Yeah. I think, do they call it emergent behavior? But the things like the wedding, just community stuff that's fun but doesn't necessarily do anything. I got the impression that's what Richard was after.
Actually, that's not bad.
I think that's what he was talking about.
It's maybe this isn't about skill building. Maybe this is about community building, about friendship building.
Yeah.
People
Although it
building.
would be kind of interesting if it did have some kind of. Everybody was happy because they went to the wedding, and so we all get a buff because we participated.
Yeah.
It could raise your influence in the area that the event is occurring in, and NPCs could participate by reducing their costs to you, or maybe more. You become more well known, so more NPCs approach you for various, challenges and things like that.
Yeah. Well, and I used to be the mayor of a city, so I used to have to collect the community all the time. We had events on the top of the keep that we had, and I would have to tell my people, and then they would just be word of mouth or through the chats or through whatever, Facebook, whatever, and we'd get all these people. And weddings, we did weddings all the time up there as well, where we'd set everything up, lock it all down, and then have, I even got married on the top of that keep. It was a long time ago. So, I mean, yeah, those events are great, and it's just a matter of there's got to be leaders, and then the leaders, number ones, and then they're number ones, and then that's how that kind of works.
Well, but social interaction is going to happen whether they have a system or not. I mean, like Marky said, in every game that I've been, people stand around in some common location, the popular town, or the cactus in the desert or wherever, and they chat and they say, "Oh, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do," and someone will say, "Well, I want to go do this," and anyway, and sometimes they just talk about their real life stuff instead of the game, and I don't think that has to be coaxed.
I think in Ultima Online there was one primary subject for everybody, and that was bank.
Yeah,
The place you had to go to.
Well, that was what everybody said when they were there.
House.
Bank.
Well, usually it was bank guards, whatever.
Oh
else
yeah.
Well, my bank was in Buxton. It wasn't as populated.
Right.
You had to run in, get out. Run in, run out.
Okay. Well, I think that
Well, we'll get somebody from the team to elaborate on that a little bit more, and maybe we can give them a little clearer.
Yeah,
idea.
well, actually, maybe we can see some of the suggestions next week, and then we can take it maybe a step further, even. So, yeah. I find it to be a fascinating subject. I'm not sure what else to say. So how about the UI?
Well,
what's there should be customizable. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that I agree. I'll just say what Richard said, and then you guys can kick it around. He asked if there would be a system where instead of watching a health bar, you could see arrows and wounds open up on your enemy, and after so much damage he might slump, and after so much more damage he might limp and maybe try to get away, and to try to eliminate as much user interface that's visible other than those kind of realistic cues.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that brings it back to what I was saying last week about the further you get away from the numbers, the better, because anytime you show them any kind of number, bar, status, whatever, that's when they're gonna. That's their whole goal. They're not gonna play the game. They're playing the min-max thing. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I totally like that. But if we do, but certain things we have to see, like bags and stuff like that, we just want to be able to put all that stuff away. That's our workspace. We want our workspace. It makes it more of a game when we can actually see where we're going, see what we're doing, and we're not looking at all these gadgets and dials and maps and all this stuff.
Can we imagine playing this game with no UI?
I can
Can
imagine
that be
it.
done?
Well, UO was like that.
Yes.
All you had is a little health bar on the bottom, and that was it. And then
Yeah.
you had to open everything up.
You had to do everything with a hotkey, huh?
So if you wanted
to
to
know your
cast a
keyboard.
spell, how did you do that?
You had like P or something. It was
You
There's
you
all
open
keys.
You used to. I think originally you had to open your spell book and double click the spell, but eventually let you slide the spells on your UI if you wanted a quick key, or you do a hotkey.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had no UI, how would you do it?
Originally you had to open your spell book, like Control P, and then double click the spell real quick.
So then you'd have a UI up on your screen.
You
would see the
would,
book.
but see,
the book
then
is an item.
the book, and then you could bind the spell to a key command of your choosing, and so you didn't have to open that up every time, and so you could, it was there, because there will be some people who don't want to type out their commands. I know that when I'm first learning, I need everything on the screen, because I can't for the life of me remember which F key was that to heal myself. Shit, I'm dead.
I know if it's not that way, then I'm going to have a cue card.
Yeah. Well, right, and that's
cue card, and then look at the keyboard.
That's something that instantly came to my mind, was a color-coded keyboard, kind of like media editors use. They're rainbow keyboards. They're all kinds of different colors, and I was thinking to myself, well, what if my keyboard could just have all of that stuff on it? They used to use overlays. I probably remember those. Overlays that would go over.
Boards too. Remember those?
And we can't expect people to buy hardware though to play the game.
No.
But
Way to make extra money.
if I could play if I could play a game that is beautiful to look at without anything on the screen, with nothing on the screen, I would totally do it. Maybe just see my hands in front of me, or I see my character out there, and if I'm slashing on the guy in front of me and he starts to slump over, I'm like, yes, I've almost got him. Or even myself, that my screen is going kind of red, and I'm now looking more towards the ground. Going, crap, I'm about to take a dirt nap here.
I don't. What you're talking about is first person, right? That's what they call that.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be first person. That can be first or third. Even the blood splattering on your screen. I mean, you hit something and blood gets splattered up on there. The more hits that you take, the more blood there is going everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
and it can be in game too, because you bring out your spell book. It can be in front of you, and maybe you have to stroke it with to make the pages go through.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine in first person that you got your spell book up right here, and you're trying, putting your sword away and going like this?
That's what I'm saying. It's into that,
I'm remembering EverQuest like that, where the spell book took up half the damn screen. You couldn't see what was going on.
Well, yeah, and most things, if they're going to put it up in front of you, then it should be transparent, at least.
Yeah, and resizable.
And resizable and put awayable and all that crap.
Yeah.
Because that'll really help a lot.
Well, let me think outside of the box here and say, what about us people who have multiple monitors? Why not support Why not support one monitor that is dedicated to the game, and then have a separate module that is all of your stuff? We actually had that in UO. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. We had the window within the client, and then you could drag it onto your second monitor, and you could put all your spells and everything over there. But just really, your monitor was your gameplay. You didn't have to have your health bar on there. Nothing.
Right. That's actually a good idea too.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
It should still be transparent and movable though. That's all I can.
Well, and actually one
that
thing
falls in the customization category, which I think the more you can customize something that has to be on the screen, the better.
I only have one request with that, which is that if they do that, since us people who stream use game capture modes, that the other thing that we put on the other screen actually be a separate module, not the actual gameplay screen. Which I don't know if that can be done, but that's my thoughts, because I want to present everything right there. I don't want to have to grab just a monitor. I want to grab the game, because it's much more efficient to broadcast that way. But
because if it hooks in, you bet.
Yeah. So just give us a separate hook for the control panel or whatever. Or it can be combined into one, or even windowed mode. Like I think that's what they used to call it. So
because a lot of people probably don't have two monitors.
And I remember having like 50 spells on the screen, but they were never blocked my gameplay.
Yeah, and that's great too. If you got the two monitors, awesome. But if not, I think they just need to make it to where you can actually not have to see it if you don't want to see it. You can just put it away.
Wow, this sounds like fun.
Yeah, let's go to work for it.
Yeah,
we are kind of.
We are.
We are working.
Yeah.
I know
giving them money and giving them suggestions.
Well, I know they listen to this stuff, so and I'm very happy that if we come up with an idea they like, I'm happy that they use it. So
Better for us later.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what else? What other fancy things can we do with the UI?
I heard something interesting where they're going to use the old style inventory, so you can just clutter it all in there and wade through it. But there's also going to be the button where it all separates. So you'll actually have two choices, I guess, on the way you view your inventory. So you can clutter it in there, or you can look at it more like typical style little cubes, I guess, or little blocks. Which would be the way I would like to look at it.
Well, when I'm trying to organize, I don't know. You know what? There was really a beautiful thing about having it in the bags, and you would spend a lot of time designing your bag for going out and playing, because you'd have runes lining up across the top or something like that, and you would actually stack them partially on top of other ones, just so that you could maximize the amount of stuff that you could have there. Yeah. And you'd leave just enough room so that you could click on the proper one when you wanted to click on it.
And your bag and your bag and your bag, so that thieves couldn't get to the third bag.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's where your reg bag was. It was a bag and a bag and a bag, and then that's where your reg was.
Yeah.
Put the key behind the reg rim bag, so they won't grab it right off the bat.
Yeah, or the key underneath the least desirable item in your bag, because that's what we would do. We would just
under a rune.
Yeah, we would say under a rune that was just bank or something like that, so that if it was home, they would be picking that one up because they'd be like, I'm gonna go rob your house. But yeah, just something general. They would leave that alone.
Yeah,
So-
I like the bag thing back then. I don't like the new bag systems with all the little squares. Or
I actually don't want the squares. I don't mind having a feature that I could push a button or something like that to help me organize it.
Yeah, sort it.
To separate them out equally among each other or something like that, so that you can visually deal with it better or get a head start.
Or maybe do like you can have like a grid overview that you can activate, so you can help you grid your things or whatever. But I like the whole open it up and everything's how you want it.
Mhm.
Colored bags.
Well, you couldn't have if you had too much stuff in your bag, you couldn't find your stuff. It's like a woman's purse.
I'm sure I'm going to get shot for that one.
Oh man.
I hate that. When my person gets such and such, I always just bring them the whole purse.
Yeah. So it's how much stuff do you put in there, and that was one of the reasons why we would have a bag within a bag, because you would have your 2 or 3 most used items that you needed to touch in the top level of your bag, and then you would have 2 or 3 other bags that would hold your other stuff. And bags within bags also made it really nice for when you were going to put stuff in a chest. You'd put all your loot and everything. You'd sit there after the dungeon and you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to take this one home. Okay, dump it in that bag. Everything else that I'm going to sell goes in this other bag.
Yeah.
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 I imagine it'll still be that way. Although I didn't hear him say anything about bags within bags, but
Well, it's kind of
it is
important.
Richard, so
Yeah.
Well, it's
he's
kind of
very
important. I
much the
mean,
same.
it makes it convenient. So, like, we'd make a reg bag for going out, and we would just have it's a smaller bag, but it would go inside your main bag, and then that way we could make up a whole bunch of bags ahead of time, so we didn't have to like
Grab and go.
Yeah, when you're fighting like we fight, you got to go back out right away.
And you could color code them.
Yeah,
So
that's
you would dye the bags different colors.
red.
And right. Well, I'm just saying,
Just kidding.
because we I'm very visual.
Yeah,
and
I do
so-
the colors as well.
Yeah. I would I'd have a whole bunch of bags of a certain color for that type of stuff.
Right.
And because do you remember sometimes the stuff got jumbled.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
If you died, especially. But,
yeah, you die, get resurrected, and all of a sudden your crap's all over the place.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so especially having bags, it's just bink, bink, bink. You don't even have to open them up. You know where your stuff's at.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I totally hope they do that. If that's the thing they're shooting for, because it helps you organize too, to have separate bags for different things, and just works.
I always
Part of the
used to put a item next to the bag, so like I'd put a little piece of gold next to the bag that had all my gold, or I'd put a small dagger next to the bag that had all the weapons.
Mhm.
It'd be nice if you could select the stencil that onto the bag, so that there was an image. Click on the dagger,
that'd
stencil
be
it
neat.
onto the bag, and then you could, that's how I always had organized things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to stencil on the bags as well with color code.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some more art stuff we could do.
Yeah,
I
some
knew
more
you-
art there.
I knew you.
Yeah, Mr. Artist.
Yeah, the artist likes that, so we're good.
Yeah, one
Then
vote
he can
for
sell.
that.
Then he can sell his unique bags.
I just want my heads on the arrows, or the heads on the arrows in the bag.
Your shrunken heads.
Head of
Yeah.
Marky Dragon.
That's going to be an interesting topic too, is death and can you butcher bodies like you used to be able to? And
Yeah. What's up with the human jerky? Bring it back.
yeah. Grab heads, keep skulls.
Yeah, we used to keep all the body parts, legs, arms, whatever. Just throw them around. But I think most of them decayed except for the head, so you could always keep the head.
Remember, you could lock that stuff down in your house. You could have it on the floor. You walk in and you'd be like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, you don't get a lot of dates when you're, Dreadlord, just because of the number of heads you have in your house. The girls are a little squeamish, but
Well, a lot too. That brings up an area of like money too. Like people like be selling the heads of popular people for like a lot of money. I know at EVE Online they sell the corpses. You die like Marky Dragon corpses are like 100 million right now.
that's awesome. You're a
Yep.
stud, Mark.
I'm worth more dead.
Yeah, more dead than you are alive, brother.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel like that about that. It's kind of weird, especially when they start telling you what they're going to do with your dead body.
They're hardcore.
Yeah. Those are the mature players. Okay. Well, so anybody else have any thoughts on UI? Okay. Let's go on to a topic that I'm seeing them talk about in chat, which is crime and punishment. And so they're talking about being a thief in there and whether or not you could go to jail. What do you guys think about that? There was a thieving skill in UO, and the guards would come and whack you. But what if certain offenses they would come and whack you, but other offenses they would come and lock you up for 15 minutes.
Okay, I actually dealt with this a lot in Ultima Online, and that was a big question back then as well. And I think a friend of mine came up with a pretty good idea. Adamant said, he actually built a third-party server and stuff. What he did was actually give them an island to go to rather than a jail per se, where they actually could still have something to do, but they couldn't interact with the populace for a while. You know what I'm
Australia.
saying?
Yeah, send them to Australia. That's
So
exactly
it was like
what I was
Buxton or whatever it was, and you couldn't get off the island, but there was certain times or certain ways where you could possibly escape, but mostly you had to deal with all the other criminals. So you guys could go all be in jail and go kill each other, but you weren't going to interact with the bluebies.
Right? Oh, interesting. What if you could be really bad and you live out your character's life in jail?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I was just thinking too.
Escape from New York or whatever.
We're talking about Ultima games. Mages, they banish you to this dungeon, and you start at the very bottom of the dungeon, and then the only way to escape is to escape the dungeon. So you have other players in there that want to live in there and camp those people, and if you can make it out, you got your freedom back.
Yeah. So they have to.
Underworld,
oh wait.
That would be huge.
This is even a group thing to get people together because if they're
back to the community,
like you need say at least 6 people to work together to get up to the top, and so that you have to communicate with each other, you have to work with each other, and the problem is they're all thieves and everything, and so there's a lot of stabbing in the back and everything. That would actually be that actually is not only a way of removing them from whatever community that they're in where they're causing the problem, but it also is a social thing, whereas the criminals being together, that it's so lawless that it's like a peer pressure that you don't want to go through that again.
Or maybe you want to live there. I mean, it just depends on what kind.
Well, that's
Fear make a happy home.
I mean, I'd be fine there. I mean, hey, what's up, guys?
Kill them as they land.
Because then they can play King of the Hill or whatever and just
fresh meat.
They still have something to do though. Just don't sit them in a cell with nothing. They're just going to quit playing. But you give them something to do and a possibility for parole or escape or whatever. Then it becomes more enticing. And I think it worked well on the place where I've seen it in action.
Yeah.
So
that
seemed to be pretty popular.
That is a very interesting idea. Now they've talked about an underworld, and so it may be that maybe the dungeons are in pits in the underworld. And
could be
and you got to work your way up to get back up to the light again. And so not only are you down there and have to work to get to the underworld space or whatever, but then you still have to fight your way out or use the tunnels, the underground passages.
Yeah, there's no guards, no nothing. You got to find out a way to get out. That's and it can't be too easy.
Right.
And they talked about having that underworld kind of be a modular system where it wasn't the same all the time, which would be good if they did this kind of prison thing. If you got sent to prison again, you wouldn't automatically know the way out.
Oh, right.
It could change every day or every so many hours or whatever.
I wonder what that would do to you while you're down there and it
A
changes.
labyrinth. Yeah.
Literally changing on you, yeah.
It could
log
be a
off.
labyrinth.
Escape
Go
sends
back,
you
it'd
to
be
a more
completely
maximum
different.
security prison.
It also, though, at the same point, it needs to not be so frustrating. It needs to be fun.
Well, yeah.
This is punishment, but it also needs to be fun, because if you take the fun out of the game goes away.
Yeah, it's still a game, so let's give them
Well, you
something
would figure there would be
fun to
whatever
do.
ability
Or maybe
to
they-
work up skills or find new items. You know,
Or maybe
It would
they
be
can
a quest in a way.
Maybe they can send you there alive, and then if you die, then your ghost walks out. So you can still get out, eventually pay for your crime, but they put you there alive, and then you have all this role-playing point of trying to get out alive, working together, or...
Yeah, maybe there's some cost to
There's-
dying that you don't want. And so
Yeah.
that's the easy
I don't
way
know.
out.
Yeah, death is too easy, I think, but
Yeah.
Well, the death, you might have to walk out, so it'll take you 15 minutes to walk out versus, trying to get out, strapping
Well,
in, and...
that wouldn't be fun, but if in death down there you lost something that had some value or something like that, I'm trying to think of what could be maybe it'd be a way to get points on the thief market or something. I don't know. Or that if you make it out alive, that your some skill goes up a tick. And it has to do with survival,
right.
but like the dark arts of survival or something thief-like.
Yeah, and they're going to have to throw the murders and stuff in with it. So I mean, it's just going to be a big pool of craziness.
Oh, maybe it's your title. That's what it is. Instead of because you were like Dreadlord, you didn't want to die because you would have would you lose? Could you lose your title from dying?
you go. Well, no, you had to do good.
You had to do good.
You had to do good to bring the title the other way.
Well, maybe the whole criminal ranks and everything. Maybe they want an evil or title, and part of that is that if you get busted, if you get caught, then you have to make it back out alive. If you don't make it out alive, you get a tick down on your evil title instead of maintaining. So it's still it's an incentive. It's a negative incentive, but it's an incentive to make it up alive and go through the struggle to do that.
Right.
I'm
ready. Let's go.
Do it.
Yeah.
Or maybe the good players can go down and clear out the dungeons, the prison too. So you have like the good and the evil hidden forces.
Wow.
Lord British gives you a quest to clear out the dungeons overswelling with some group been camping there the last 5 days.
There's not enough beds. We got to clear out some of them.
Yeah.
Prison
They could even have
overcrowding.
AI. Yeah, they could have some pretty rough AI in there too. Some demons, whatever, just to screw with you. Just to kind of give you a little bit of taste of your own medicine, whatever.
Knock you to half health every time you hit full health.
Maybe you can get away from them if you got some stealth, but if not, they're gonna come kick your butt. I mean, whatever.
Maybe they make you uglier. So, another visual representation of status.
Yep.
So in the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh game, in town, if you stole or whatever, you got caught, guards called, you got insta-killed. What are you guys' opinion on that? Like, should you be instantly killed, or should, I know Eve, you get flagged, and then people around you can kill you, or the Concord will kill you, but it's based on a time?
I think it should totally be the people around you taking the actions.
Right.
That the guards may start shouting or something like that, criminal or whatever, and then everybody notices, oh, this person has changed status, and the guards may be just casually walking over, like, I'm gonna kick the crap out of you, or I'm gonna take you to prison or whatever. And fast players can say, "Oh, I want the kill," and can then maybe make the kill and then maybe have looting rights.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, I think the problem with that though is a lot of people didn't know that they needed to yell guard, and then the other part is even if they did, or that they didn't yell guard and somebody took their stuff, nobody would do anything about it because it didn't have anything to do with them. Because they're not policemen, we're not police. Why should I go kill that guy?
But
He's not
if
pissing me
somebody flags themselves as criminal and we can see that, and then they are fair game or closer to fair game, it's like it could be that, oh, he attempted. Okay, nobody can go over there and kill him, but we can see that he attempted. And
Yeah.
so we know to kind of give an area of distance between them, because we don't want them picking our pockets. And then when they successfully pick, maybe it flags a little bit further, or if guards are called or whatever, then they're fully flagged, something like that. At some point they could be where we can take them on.
Yeah,
Where we get the choice.
well, they could do like where there's a period where guards are called, the guards will show up and they'll walk over to them and eventually kill them, like Concord does in Eve. But then players can jump in there and whack them out too.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun.
Mm-hmm. For the rights, for their dead body.
Yeah.
Get on the kill rights, or just killing them and saying that you participated. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We didn't have guards at my bank, so I didn't get to have that much fun with it. But
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, guys, we're about out of time here. So this has actually gone by very quickly, this episode. I think that something that was just mentioned here, which we were talking about killing and everything. Eve Online has a really neat thing where they have the API, the Eve API, that these websites where they show kill boards and they show statistics on other people and everything. I think it's really interesting, and I think that might be a good topic for next week, talking about an API and allowing the community to participate in some of the information sharing and everything, and what we could do with that. So we don't have time to talk about it today, but I think that would be a great topic for next week. Barring any dev that shows up and takes over the show. So I'm not saying all of them take over the show. It's just that we always want to talk about whatever their specialty is when they're here.
I was going to say we want to ask them questions.
Yeah. So, okay. Any parting words, guys?
keep what you kill.
I thought that was eat what you kill.
No.
Eat what you kill.
So, okay, well,
Take what you can, give nothing back.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's to another great episode. Thank you guys for joining us, and till next week, same time, same place. It's let's see. The live show is 5 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, or 10 o'clock GMT. That would
Greenwich
be
Mean
like
Time.
in London and stuff. So. Anyway, join us next Saturday or any Saturday. We would love to have you on the show. So, okay, thanks for joining. Take care, everybody.
Take care.